The Mortgage Comic Podcast. I am joined here by not one, but we got two special guests in the building. Insert. Today we got Miss Kayla Baker from Onyx Realty Pros.
That's
short
me.
for, is that short for like professionals, right?
Yes, professionals.
Professional. Okay. We're gonna get back to that name because I know Cavell is the owner of that brokerage, and
Yes.
he's a big Diamond fan, right? And
Diamond Standard.
Diamond Standard, right? Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay, it's iron sharpens iron, and diamond is the hardest on the, hardness scale. So there we go. And then we got the one and only, the Pam Brown, the realtor, representing KW Coastal.
Absolutely.
Shout out your brokerage. Go ahead.
So I'm with Keller Williams Coastal Virginia. It's one of the top producing Keller Williams here in the area. I love my office. Shout out to my team leader, Cosette. And so I'm here to represent.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead, Kayla. We're going to give you a chance to shout out your brokerage too. Do it.
Shout out Onyx Realty Professionals.
There
You
you
know
go.
what they say. We move keys.
Hey! That's everybody in the back pages. Put the finger in the two snaps. So today on the Mortgage Podcast, we got muffins, we got mimosas, the drinks
Yeah.
are flowing. It's a vibe, ladies and gentlemen.
Definitely.
Thank you guys for tuning in. But seriously, we're going to have fun. But today's going to get real. I don't think the 757 Hampton Roads, I don't think our audience nationally, the Berrios London team, we cover pretty much up and down the East Coast. But I think we want to talk about, some real stuff. Before we kind of really, dive into it, let's just kind of ease up into a little bit, okay? Because I have two beautiful young black female entrepreneurs here that in front of me. So there's a lot of relevancy to what's going on in today's society. So let's start off with a little bit of background, a little bit of your story. Kayla, first, tell me, when did you get into real estate, and what was your big why into getting into real estate?
I got into real estate. This will be my second year, so a little over a year ago. I was in the healthcare field for about 8 years before I switched over into this, and I just always had a passion for just like getting to know people, building relationships and just helping people in some type of way. I just knew I didn't want to really do the healthcare thing anymore. And my dad is a general contractor in the area. So that kind of like pushed me. He was kind of like, let's do something where we could kind of like team up and help each other. Yeah. So he kind of pushed that on me. And I was like, that's not a bad idea.
So then here you go.
And then it just went from there.
Well, there we go. Pam. Mm-hmm. She's fresh out of Miami, y'all. I want to make sure that's on the record. She flew in straight in this. What time did your flight land?
Midnight.
Midnight.
So this morning.
Semi-red eye flight coming in
The
from
midnight
Miami.
train.
Y'all, she got that glowing tan, I'm not going to say anything else because it might be considered a comment. But, Pam, tell us your story, how long you've been in, and tell us your success, and, ride the escalators on these haters. What's going on?
All right, y'all. So I'm going to sum it up real quick. My license came in literally like the day the office closed. My coach called me. I came in early. I knew I needed a coach. Just a little background about me. Not going to lie, I've always been a hustler. I've sold diamonds. I've sold clothes. I've sold hair. I've sold a little bit of everything. So I'm like, okay, let me sell something that's going to make me the most money. Came to KW Coastal, and I'm so glad I did because that is like the best brokerage. It's super family oriented. They give you the training that you need to succeed. And with that training, that's exactly pretty much what I did. My license came, and my coach called me. He's like, I'll never forget. Pam, I got good news and I have bad news. I'm like, all right, well, what's up? He's like, well, the good news is your license here. I'm like, okay, that's what's up. So he's like, but the bad news is the office is closed due to COVID. I'm like, oh my gosh, don't tell me I got my life together now and the freaking world's gonna come to an end. So I'm like, all right, well, we had like happy hours, even though it was a pandemic and we were away from each other, we did a lot of things via Zoom. And that really kind of helped me understand what the KW community was about. My first week in the business, I had 4 under contract. And it wasn't just like
first week in the business.
First week, yeah.
That's unheard of.
That
Like, no one's doing that.
It was crazy. And it wasn't just like it was a weird 4. I had a cash buyer, my first sell, all cash. I had a short sell, a buyer and a seller. So it was like learning 4 different transactions in real
At one
estate
time.
at one
So
time.
let's if I can pause for a quick second, because you said you started in the middle of COVID and the pandemic, and I think everybody in this business, I don't care if you were a real estate agent, a mortgage lender, broker, or homeowner insurance agent, if you were in the industry, COVID hit, there was a lot of uncertainty, right? Especially if you were a
Right.
seller. Do you sell? Can people come into your homes? COVID, created a lot of demand in the industry. And we're going to actually talk about that. We're going to talk about the new variant that's coming out. We're going to talk about, a couple of different things here that is really going to add value to your guys' followers here. But what was it? Because the thing that really honestly pisses me off is that anybody, whether it's mortgage, being a mortgage lender, broker, or being a real estate agent, they watch $1 Million Listing, New York, Los Angeles. They think they're going to, study for this class, come in and, make a ton of business. And then they find out that this is a grind because most clients or most people think they have this misconception that all we do is spend and burn money after a transaction closes. And that's not it.
No.
I posted something recently that said, if when your goal is to change someone else's life, you unknowingly change yours. So you have to make that, your purpose. And I believe everybody already to this point knows, my story, my background, growing up poor and in poverty and stuff like that, and changing that mindset, right? But someone right now, because everyone's getting, I hate to say it, participation trophies for the last year and a half because the market has treated you, right? So I think we have to keep that in perspective, because if you were a not so good agent or broker, you looked good. If you were a good, you looked better. And if you were great, it just went, from there, right? There's going to be a lot of fallout in our industry from agents and brokers as we move forward, because they're not going to have the heart to grind it out, right? They get that initial wave, I'm going to come back to, of selling 4 or 5, or because really to be successful, it's like, 1 or 2 a month, and that's like a good, steady income for a professional. But during the pandemic, just studying, what did you leverage to get 4 transactions right out of the gate? What was so different for you?
Honestly, I don't know. I believe it was just my hustler mentality. The fact that I came in there, I was super duper hungry, and most importantly, I really kept God first. I came from
Let's preach
contribution.
this Sunday. Let's preach this
Listen,
Sunday.
one thing about it, I'm gonna give God the glory
Won't
because
he
I
do
know.
it?
Can I get an amen?
Look to your neighbor, say neighbor.
Hey, okay.
Won't he do it?
So it was really more so that, I mean, we had a lot of downtime during COVID, and I capitalized on that. I stayed in front of people's face. I mean, I was researching different things, and I was putting it out there, and I wasn't scared to market myself. So I just feel like if you want to be an agent in today's time, you have to use those resources that's out there to stay on people's necks. And if you do that, God will do the rest.
And stay
Definitely.
relevant. And I want to talk about that, because I told you we're going to dive right into it, and we're going to get super real. Kayla,
Right, real raw real estate.
Jeremy.
we're in this environment where everything is cancel culture, where we have to be politically correct, where we have to really watch what we say and do, and our mannerisms and our demeanor. It's not what our intent is, what our actions show, right? And they always say, a man by the fruit that he bears, right? So, you're 2 years into this. What have you noticed since we've had Black Lives Matter, since we've had this movement, being a young Black female entrepreneur? How has that been different? Because one hand you have, it should say, well, being a female, one in itself, is a challenge, right? In any, corporate industry, whatever. But then you're, Black minority on top of that. And there's a lot of stereotypes and, negative connotation that kind of, come in with that. How has that movement, when people may not find, question your professionalism or your standards or your knowledge, right? How have you been able to overcome that to be the successful agent that you are today? And what kind of things have you dealt with, being young, Black, and female? Like, let's talk about it.
I just strongly believe in always being yourself. And I just feel like, some people may not work with you and some will, but I just feel like being real and being your true self will get you a lot further than trying to pretend to be somebody that somebody wants you to be. And like I said, the business will come regardless. So if there's somebody that doesn't want to work with you because of who you are, what you stand for, then those are just the type of people you don't need to work with anyways.
Right.
That's how I see it. And I can't say that I've had, issues with that, honestly. I hope I never do. I know
Right.
people that have, but I haven't personally ever came across any issues with that in the real estate business.
Right.
So,
And it's so crazy because we're all in this industry, and I think I read a quote this morning on Facebook. Shout out to Jasmine Fields. I think it was yours, where there's a lot of hate and false shade, in this business and stuff like that. False clapping into the limelight, but really they're not really rooting for you, right? But it's so crazy when people see you in your successful season because they don't know what you went through in your season of drought, right? When you had nothing, when you had no clients, had no money, had nothing, right? And getting back to this quote, it's one of those things to where a lot of people, including lenders myself, we always look at each other as competition instead of partners. Well, at one time or another, especially real estate agents, you guys are going to be doing business with each other.
Right.
You could have a listing, you could have a buyer, you're going to be doing business. So why do we have that competition mindset instead of that growth, strategize? Let's build something. Let's further this community because there's a grossly underserved community
Absolutely.
from all facets, all religions, all races, right here in this area, right?
definitely.
So, Pam, hit on that for me where, you really can't look. There's always this analogy. They always use this analogy of this meme where Michael Phillips, he's doing his like 40-meter stroke or 100 meters in the Olympic pool, right? And then he's just so tunnel vision, right? And then you got the other competitors so busy looking at him, they're not focused on the race, right? No different, than people are always wondering why Apple is so successful and Microsoft is always, on the back nine, looking forward to Apple, and their profits are always more because Microsoft is so busy looking at what Apple is doing that they're not focusing on their own race and they're running on their own race, right? So what have you learned about running your own race, tuning out like the negative, oh, she's new, she's riding this wave, she's not going to be able to maintain this momentum that she's on, and looking at everybody as a partner and not a competitor?
It's funny you asked that question. Listen, you got it. You hit it right on the head when you said, it's a lot of competition, and it shouldn't be that way because truly we are partners. I was always raised to keep your eyes on your own paper. The person next to you could have a different test. I go into everything and I teach my kids, keep those. You want to have tunnel vision. When you start looking at things around you, you don't know where you're going. Even if you're dancing, let's just go to straight dancing. If you're going off somebody else's rhythm and not listening to the beat, you look stupid because you're trying to keep up with them. And that's the thing. You just got to do your own thing. Keep your focus on what your goals are because not everyone's goals and intentions are the same. And so I tell my kids all the time, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And for me, I have to have tunnel vision. I'm already tall. People notice me. I mean, but it's just the truth. People notice me prior to noticing other people because
You're 5'11", 6 foot tall.
I'm 6 foot tall, an African American female.
6 foot tall. Should be in the WNBA.
So see, prime example right there. People have
Stereotyping.
expectations
Yeah,
for me. So I have to know where I'm going. I start my day with affirmations. I'm that agent that's praying for my clients, for myself, for my strength.
Let's
because
talk about it.
let's be real.
Let's talk
You're
about it.
walking, you're leaving your house, you're entering a realm of just negativity. We live in a world full of sin. So if you don't have I ain't gonna preach, but if you're not really prepared,
Let's go.
Come on.
and you don't have
They can keep scrolling if they don't like it.
they don't have their full armor of God on, you will be attacked. And I was in Miami. I'm not even gonna go deep into this, but pretty much it was said back to me that that they're people are always talking, people are always watching, and I shut it down real quick. Like it don't even matter. I want them to say this. I want them to talk about that because when I know they're talking, that means I'm doing something right. Yeah. I'm not in competition with nobody but myself, okay? And so with that being said,
against you.
That's it right there.
Yeah.
That's 100% right. I mean, and it's so crazy that everybody wants to focus in and they want to mind everything else, but the only business that they should mind is their own.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Like, shout out to Drake for that quote.
Wait, I'm sorry not to
Go
cut
ahead.
you off, but I started this business. I remember I knew I was going to get into real estate. I didn't know a whole pandemic was coming, but I was so hungry. I got my license in like 2 weeks. I talk about tunnel vision. I literally locked myself in the room. Shout out to my husband. He handled everything for me. I was able to do what I needed to do to get to the next level. And the thing I told myself, I even had it on a vision board. I am the mission. If you tell yourself that you came into this world by yourself, you're going to leave by yourself. Yeah, you have kids and different priorities, but if you focus on yourself and learn how to be the best you can possibly be, things like that doesn't faze you because shoot, let's be real. They even talked about Jesus, and look at him now. You know. So you know that's
They did
that's
talk
good.
about Jesus, and Jesus said, "Look, you don't take my life. Shoot, I lay my own life down. You know, I came on this. It's so crazy.
He
'cause
had a
look,
mission.
He did. Because what was it? First Peter talks about how like Jesus came down here and said, "Oh, you guys can't live a life righteously. So watch this. I'm gonna come down as a man, live life perfectly. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna get up in 3 days, and then I'm gonna speak in the Holy Ghost, and I'm gonna bless you guys with
That's
it. Now
right.
you do it. Now watch.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy,
Yes.
right? So let's talk about a little bit about words of affirmations because like the older I get, it's crazy, man. Like you know, I'm not that old, but Pam thinks I'm like super old. You know,
Getting there.
I have I have a mission to like read 4 to 6 books per month. Like the average CEO actually reads like 6 to 8 books. You know, which is
gosh.
crazy,
Yeah,
right?
it
I don't
is.
know how they do it.
Yeah.
I'm cheating because Amazon Audible is like amazing, but I do love it. There's this. And because I want to kind of talk to you about this because, you know, you really identify, I know all of us can't identify with this millennial generation, but I know for me, as I've, you know, continued to get older and I'm, you know, heading into my mid and later, you know, 30s, you know, I'm realizing how important words of affirmation are.
Oh,
You
yeah.
getting up in the morning and, you know, looking inside the accountability mirror, right?
Exactly.
And you have to callous your mind. Like right now, I tell people like, it's the end of July, we're going into August. Like right now in this business is where you're saving up for your Christmas and your New Year's money and what you want to do in the fall. But already people have this mentality like, oh my God, we're going to go into the fall and business is going to slow down and I don't know how I'm going to feed my family and all the stuff like that. When historically I've had some of my best months, you know, going into Q3, Q4, right? And it's that it's that psyche, right? When someone goes into the water and they ask you what the water temperature like and like, oh my God, it's cold. You already have that connotation that that water's cold.
Yeah.
Oh, how was that workout? Man, that workout was brutal. You already have that psyche in your mind that that workout is hard. It's that you have to really learn, and this is something I'm really read and learned from David Goggins. You really have to learn how to callous your mind and like really tune out all the negativity, all the BS. Because I can sit here and say my circumstances were this, my circumstances were that. Just because you didn't succeed at something doesn't mean I can't succeed at something, right? So getting up, so like, I mean, and I've been reading all kinds of books, whether it's, you know, Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins or Eat or Last by Simon Sinek or, you know, Start With Why by Simon Sinek. He's my, shout out to Simon Sinek, man. He's like my favorite author of all time. You know, there's The Miracle Morning by
yes.
L. Helrod. I love that book. And he
Such a good
talks
book.
about words of affirmation, having your
Yep.
miracle morning, whether it's 5 minutes, 9 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, you get up, you meditate, you read.
right.
So like right now, he even, look
Workout.
at my nightstand right now, there's
Drink
a
your
bottle
water.
of water because most people, right, when your alarm goes off and that cold hair itch you, you want to go back to
Yes.
bed. You don't want to get up out of bed. But you have to have your sanity, right? Because there is no value. And this is a personal value of mine that, you know, I've learned from my own. There's no value between the hours of 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. That's normal business hours.
Yes.
So the time that I have with me, myself, God, my family, between the hours of 4:35 until 7:59 a.m. in the morning, that's me time, right?
And it hits different.
Yes.
It truly hits different when you practice it and you're because they say look at it, get up in the morning like it's Christmas morning.
Yeah.
You have to transition your mind before you go to bed like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to get up tomorrow. And it works.
It does.
And
Even with the level of sleep, people are always like, well, I need 6-7 hours of sleep. You need whatever sleep you tell your
Yes.
mind you need. Like if I said this one, man, I'm good. I can go to bed. You know, first of all, I'm like a 9:30, 10 o'clock person, but you know, now, you know, I just my body naturally. But if I
Yeah.
say, man, I'm gonna get enough sleep, regardless if I go to bed, even if I go to bed at midnight and I wake up at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m., I still got 6 hours of sleep. What are some of these words of affirmations? Like, what are some? You look in that accountability mirror. If you're not where you want to be in life, you haven't hit your sales goal. You haven't hit your personal relationship goals. You haven't hit whatever you want, right? What are you doing to like constantly better yourself to stay focused, stay in the zone, and stay in the game?
I'm kind of just like you said, it's all within your mind. Like you have to be positive. So I just 100%, no matter what's going on, you know, everything could be falling apart, but I'm still going to have a positive mindset. I always try to stick with the I will and I am,
That's good. I don't need
you know, to keep me going. stuff like that. I'm just a positive person all the time. I do not like negative energy. I don't like being around people that say I can't or I won't. Like,
I teach my daughter. See, here's the thing.
Yeah.
I'm a father of 4, but I got 3 daughters, right? And obviously, they're black and Hispanic, daughter. One thing I always tell my daughter, she tells me she can't do something, I tell her can't is not in your vocabulary.
That's right.
exactly.
Like, you got to
Yes.
teach that, right? And
You
I know
have
you
to.
have a really strong relationship with your father and stuff like that. You guys are real close-knit. I mean,
Yeah.
give me like one principle your daddy's always taught you about life that you carried with you.
Well, my dad's always been like he's a hard worker, and I think that's what's always pushed me to like I said, he's an entrepreneur too, and I think that's what pushed me to be my own boss is just watching my dad be his own boss. I'm like, I want that for myself, that security,
And he did that as a black man in society.
Yeah. So that's definitely what pushed me was just him being his own boss. I was like, I'm gonna be my own boss too.
Let's get it. Be your own boss. I told you we was gonna get real today. Everything right now is overpriced. COVID obviously had a big play with manufacturing and the cost of importing and exporting and delays and things of
The
that
cars
nature.
are like the houses.
Cars,
Yeah.
houses,
It's
chicken
like
wings.
that.
Ain't no
It's the
chicken.
same
Where the chicken
thing.
wings at? No.
Yo, I talked about what video was that in? Mr. He doesn't want me calling him on this, but I had talked about my last podcast, chicken wings, like because everybody was so happy with them stimulus packages that they got. Oh my God, I got this stimulus. That's great. And if you really need it, I swear to God, I'm be the person. If you need it, right? But it's like a fountain. At some point, that fountain's gonna dry out,
Right.
Yep.
Right. Yep.
And because it's an artificial, injection, that money came from nowhere, guess who else is paying for that money you just received? So all the stimulus that you're getting right now, your child tax credit of $500 and $750, guess what? You're going to pay that back next year when you do your taxes.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So the money that you thought you were going to get, no, they're going to get that money right
You're
back
gonna
in
pay it
some,
back. Yeah,
right?
Of course.
And because you got that money, and they're like, okay, so we helped them out, the cost of goods also increased. Now, should it be like that? That's a different political conversation,
Yeah.
which we're not going to get into. But as the government distributes money, you don't think the cost of the price consumer index is going to increase too? We just talked about the pack of chicken was like $20. And like 4th of July weekend, $18, $19. I spent like $18.97 for a pack of chicken.
Listen,
Yeah.
Plus
crabs.
taxes,
Crabs
like
was
$20.
like $50, $60 a dozen.
It's crazy.
Let's go.
Not gonna lie,
Yeah,
got a
the
dozen.
seafood too. Don't forget about
I
that.
definitely
She was like,
got my
I got
dozen.
money like that.
No,
I
it ain't
saved
even
on my car, so I'm balling on crab. Crabs is my vice too. But
definitely
check
my
it.
crack.
So Pam called me. So I could go
Yes.
out. I can go get a truck. Pam called me, kind of the same thing, and she wanted this one truck, and it was a bad truck.
I know I
And-
wasn't getting that truck right now. I'm getting a truck, but I know I have
Get
bigger
one.
fish to fry.
Yeah.
Could she have got it? Oh, absolutely, she could have got it. But it's just making a decision.
Yeah.
Like look, see my little fossil watch. Look
Yeah.
at this little watch. I got this on Amazon Prime Day sale. It was cheap. It was from 95, went down to 35. Like I'm all about the art of a deal.
But Fossil can compete with
Yeah.
like Murado and
But it's not even
freaking
about
all that other
competing.
stuff.
You know what for me is? Now, don't get me
Still
wrong.
has the
You got
screw down
money and it's a
crown,
status
sapphire
thing.
crystal. Let's be real.
Because don't get me wrong, it's all about, and I agree to a certain extent, it's all about timing and budgeting. If you budget it out for something and you've been waiting and waiting and you have the money, absolutely, right? But this is just my opinion. There's some people who love watches for the status of it, right? Like I have an Apple Watch, I have this. But that 10, 15, 20, $30,000 Rollie or Movado or Citizens watch
Tells the same time.
tells the exact same time.
Still a
It's like
timepiece.
It's timepiece. What's the time is right now? Okay, it's still almost 12. Like, okay, so it's a status. Like we live like in this status world. Like who's doing what, right? Like.
Yeah.
You just got your car wrecked, right? Oh my God, you okay, boo boo? We didn't even talk about that.
Oh,
Let's
no,
not
are
talk
you-
about it.
Like, oh my
An
God.
accident.
Yes,
Oh,
over the
sorry to hear
weekend.
that.
Definitely an
Dang.
accident. Still haven't got a new car in the process
The
of
worst.
that. So,
Being carless.
Just hit me up. Nice to get some friends in the biz and nice to.
well, I'm waiting to get approved through my bank. They taking forever.
for it to give you the
They
check
taking
from there.
forever.
You're not with Navy Federal, are you? No, I'm just
It is
you
a
know how
credit
they doing
union,
it
but it ain't
in the linear
Navy
world, Navy Federal.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk.
Do you have to
about
beep,
Navy
beep, beep that out?
We can insert. So there you go.
Yeah.
So Kate has that QK. Navy Fed. Look, Navy Fed is great for checking the savings.
Just not home loans.
Just not a home loan. Let's talk about it.
Not gonna close on time. Let's just say
Yeah.
that. I'm sorry.
Neither is Quicken.
You're not gonna get in touch with them.
You're not gonna
Communication.
have Quicken. That Rocket Mortgage, aka Rocket. There's another military branded name around here. It's right
Mm-hmm.
across the street. Rhymes with frighted. That's actually a DBA of, that's so they're not really officially, but they hide behind it. Yes, people like, why
And
you
we
do
love
that?
our
Shots
military
fired.
community, but you guys
Love.
have
Yeah.
options.
Yeah.
You don't just go with the name that
listen
you
to my
that
podcast.
you
Just
need
ask
that you
us.
know.
Options.
We will help
Listen,
you out.
we'll guide you. And when we tell you we have preferred lenders like Jeremy, listen to us.
Take full
we gonna
advantage.
make sure you get, because it has to be a win-win for us both.
But heading into September, October, November, Kayla, what are you telling your clients about the current market that we're in? What are some of the things that you guys might be discussing at Onyx? If someone's thinking about listing or buying, and you might expect we have a client that's trying to relocate from Georgia to here. In that time frame, so what are you educating your clients on about what the market's going to do, and how are you preparing them for that transition in this market here?
Well, I always tell people, like, some people are like, hold off, wait. I don't tell my clients that. I tell them, like, there's no reason to really wait, because we're not ever sure how the market is going to turn around or what's going to happen. So, like, now is the time, is what I always tell people. I do think the market is shifting a little bit from what it was.
Well, explain that. Expound on that. Shifting to what?
As far as, how bad it was with, competing against other people, multiple offer situations, these cash guarantees over appraisal, like, it's been insane. So I think that it's slowing down a little, and listings were so low. I still think that they're, of course, lower than they typically are, and it's definitely still a seller's market. I think it will stay that way for a while. But I do think it's loosened up as far as, multiple offers and these crazy cash guarantees. I can't even imagine how many offers I've put in for some of my people, and it's just like I lose count eventually.
So what are you getting them? So if they're looking to buy, September, October, November, what are you telling them specifically to, without, obviously, I don't want you to divulge, what's proprietary to you and stuff like that, but like one or two basic things that's going to get them prepped to make that transition?
I kind of just make them aware of what's going on, definitely up front, and kind of what they're looking, kind of over prepare them.
Sure.
Just so that they aren't like, like, what is going on when they do get out here. I do tell people, I know like you said, I have people coming in a few months from now, but I always tell them, it's okay to look ahead of time just in case, because you might not get that first offer accepted. We might have to put in a few before you do get that offer accepted.
Because they don't understand like the timelines.
Yeah,
It's
so
not $1 million
they think it's
listing.
quick. Yeah, they think,
where
here's one offer, here we go, we're
like
good.
they think that they're going to put in one offer on the one property that they love, right? And what they don't understand, and people, if you're watching HGTV and Bravo, please understand it's great.
It's TV.
It's entertainment, right? And they write and they script a lot of drama in there to watch you. So if you're watching shows like that, newsflash, they scripted Jersey Shore to a point, and that was my show growing up. Fist pump, push up, chapstick, cabsy here.
That's hilarious.
But Pam.
Yeah.
Going into quarter three and quarter four. What are your, and I know you're mainly a listing agent, and most agents would love to have that problem, right? How are you preparing your sellers to get them to go ahead and list now versus waiting, and how are you why is the importance for buyers to get their ducks in a row now so that they can be ready to move when the iron's hot?
Well, I do have a couple listings that are kind of being prepared to hit the market, and I'm encouraging and letting my sellers know, it's a seller's market now, and I agree with you. You're more of a buyer's agent, as you said. I'm more of a listing agent, so it's not really a shift, but I can feel a difference as well. People, it's still a summer market, so people are out there, they're looking now, they're trying to get their foot in the door, they're trying to be closed so that their kids can get into a certain school zone. I'm letting my sellers know, hey, we don't know what to expect, but we know if you're trying to get the getting while the getting is good, you need to come on, a couple months ago, we were seeing, like you said, appraisal guarantees. We were seeing home inspection for informational purposes only. And it's still happening, but now I'm starting to see a lot more of closing costs being approved.
Is that coming back?
It is
coming
slowly
back,
but
there's some-
surely.
You
there's
gotta,
some-
you gotta be a strong strategic agent.
You gotta be good
to
at
know what
negotiating.
you're doing. That's right, for your clients.
Okay, that's the headline for this one. Are seller concessions coming back for that miniseries? That's interesting because there's some agents out there who don't believe they're ever coming back, nor should they come back. I don't know if those are from the big top listing agents, in this area, but I mean, they're going to have no choice if the market forces them.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
If supply, overcomes the demand, right? Right now,
right.
we have a demand issue with no supply. It's simple
So,
economics,
yeah.
that people don't really understand, or really should understand. And one thing that I got to say is, please don't listen to the, oh God, I don't want to use this term, fake news media, right? When it comes to how fake news, I'll say that just for the, all these media outlets that they swear they understand, when they say mortgage rates are doing this, mortgage rates are doing that. Really talk to you, and I know I really pride myself on being a really good mortgage banker and broker.
And you are.
Thank you, I appreciate that. But there truly are a handful of other good mortgage professionals in the area. So regardless of your work with, do your due diligence. Don't just, I hate to say it, like 80% of people get their information from Facebook, some sort of like quick outlet, and they don't read everything, right? And that's how we make our decisions, by the quick news headlines. Every news outlet will take a clip from something, and then they'll spin it to whatever their views are. You really have to do your research and really do your due diligence, right, to understand where we are. We have the Fed meeting minutes that they're going to talk about inflation coming up on, I believe, the 30th or the 31st of this month. And that's going to be a really key factor to find out what's going on with these interest rates going into the end of the year. There are predictions right now that we saw a little dip, so they went up, they dipped, went up, and they dipped again. And we're thinking that we're probably headed into another, because again, this new variant that's coming out, right? And I'm going to let the government people decide if they're going to do lockdown, masks, and all other stuff. But if that happens again, if this new variant does take control of this, we're going to be looking into another housing boom like it was crazy before. Because that's going to Fed's going to probably buy an uncopious amount of mortgage-backed securities to keep. They've used our industry to keep the economy going, and it's so sad to say that while millions of Americans were affected due to COVID and job loss and unemployment, and getting the pandemic unemployment assistance or some sort of unemployment, that this industry really thrived and we did really well, and that was just due to the market. I think it took out a lot of the people that weren't ready, that that were just more serious to buy. And I think one thing that we can always tell all the audiences watching right now is it's never too early to find out where you stand and take all the guesswork out,
absolutely.
right?
For
If your
sure.
goal is a year from now, but you might have credit issues or money issues or employment issues or income issues, now is the time to have those conversations. Reach out to Pam and Kayla and have those conversations. Hey, look, I'm renting, I want to buy. Hey, I want to sell, then buy. And having those conversations saying, this is where your financial plan is. I'll put the financial plan together for you, but they're going to put the real estate financial plan for you to understand how much you're going to make, how much you're going to net, and what the true cost of buying is. And we were talking about this rate of appreciation with the housing. I have a wonderful tool. So necessarily paying over appraised value or sales price is not a bad thing, because your house is an appreciating asset. Talked about it earlier in the segment, which same thing with my house. I can make money off it now. It hasn't even been 6 months. When you work with real estate professionals, like us, we have tools that can tell you, hey, yeah, if you bid this much or this much and you win, this is how much you're going to recoup your money, by. And this is when, if you stick a for sale sign on this date, you'll make your money back, in this investment. So it makes sense. So there's a couple of things that we want to watch out for, this new COVID variant that's out there. We're going to be watching the Fed and what they do to kind of curb inflation and how much they're going to be buying in mortgage-backed securities. The 10-year Treasury drops like 1.2 from like 1.4, so that's pretty huge. So if we keep an eye on that 10-year Treasury and it drops below 1, it's going to be a crazy boom. And work with a mortgage professional that's not going to sit there and worry about all the refinance business. Not that I won't do it, but my core is always purchase business to stay true to the buyers and sellers in this market, because that's going to have a big dip when rates drop to like 2% again at no cost, like it did earlier where everyone was getting something crazy. It's going to cause a massive refi boom. So what I think is going to happen, if I can say any 2 cents, is if you're looking to move into quarter 3, quarter 4, buy, sell, or invest in real estate, it's going to be a great time to create generational wealth for yourself, for your
Absolutely.
family. Interest rates are going to remain pretty stable and remain pretty low. And what was it, Pam? What was the percentage of the people in the world created their wealth through real estate? It was like 90 or 80+%. Something crazy. He's like, yeah. Well, I saw your, you know, I'm a student of all things, but yeah, it's just going to be a really great time. It's going to be a really great time. So.
It's definitely one of the quickest ways to get rich. Real estate,
For
stock
sure.
market, and just to kind of piggyback off what you were saying, you know, let's just be real. Let's look at what's going on in the world, what the news is talking about, what social media is talking about, what our freaking president is talking about. Numbers are going back up.
Yeah.
People
For
are just, they're out there, they're living their best lives this summer, so history tends to repeat itself.
Yeah.
Put yourself in position to capitalize, to invest while you can. And tap into real estate. I mean, I recommend everyone should. I'm still super new to this, but I know we were kind of briefly talking about, you know, people think these agents are getting all this money and getting rich and yada, 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 which is really, you know, it's not the case. It isn't. I mean, we do pretty well, but it's not like we're
No,
rich.
they have to understand the economics behind being a real estate agent, being a mortgage broker, right? They don't understand the
it's
splits,
hard
the costs,
work.
the marketing.
People don't
that
think
they
it's
actually,
easy.
We're a social worker, a
Yeah.
counselor, or a freaking
Psychologist.
everything, you know?
Everything
So-
you need, we
Yeah.
got it.
You don't work a regular 9 to 5. No, I work 24/7.
Oh, no, 24/7.
24/7.
Yeah,
24/7.
24 hours,
Yeah.
7 days a week, whenever you need me.
So this is the time to buy back the block. This is
Definitely.
the time to get your family in a good position so that you can create that generational wealth. You can create those legacies because one leap of faith right now could carry you through.
Yeah.
So I definitely agree with you on what you're saying.
Absolutely. All right, let's go to final thoughts here. Kayla,
Final thought.
we talked about what it's like to be a female black entrepreneur. We've spoken about what we think the market is going to do and where it's headed. We've had some drinks and some laughs. We're probably going to tear up these muffins after, you know, the cameras are off. One final thought, whether it be a general statement, knowledge, be simply to call you. Drop your information at the end of this too, where they can, you know, find you at Instagram, Facebook, emails, phone numbers. But one final thought to the audience, and then drop your info.
I kind of just, you know, we'll go back to what they said as far as, you know, investing in real estate. It is honestly the best thing you could do. And now is the time. Don't wait, for sure. So if you're ever interested or just want to know where to start, reach out to me. You can find me on Instagram at SignWithK, or Facebook at Kayla Baker.
Nice. Pam, final thoughts on anything, statements, comments, anything like that, and drop your contact info.
I would definitely say, you know, all things are possible, guys. Literally, you can do anything you put your mind to. It just takes discipline and dedication. Be persistent in all things. If you are looking to buy, sell, or invest, let's talk. I'm an open book, like I said on here multiple times. Even if it's a simple question, I have time for my clients, for my buyers, my sellers. If you're a seller and you're willing to cash out, let's shoot some numbers. I can do a market analysis so you can see exactly where and your house sits on the market. If you're a buyer, we can talk about interest rates and if you are ready to roll. I got time because I'm a listing agent, so I can do a lot of things that these busy agents can't
Humble
do.
brag. Humble brag.
And everybody else in between, you know, keep your head up. Look, it's the year. It's been a good year.
Yeah.
Life is what you make it. So keep on grinding, thug it on out, and you can find me on all major platforms. Pam Brown, the Realtor, # the Real Estate Retailer. Let's go.
You have just experienced the Mortgage Comic Podcast. Stay tuned. Thank you for my lovely guests for coming out today. Rock out. Call us. We'll be more than happy to help. Dial it.
Hey.